Welcome to module 1. It's a linear algebra at a glance. First, this module is mainly aimed at teasing you or creating interest in you about linear algebra. This module tries to familiarize you with these concepts, system of linear equations and vectors, and basically their geometrical representations or their geometrical interpretations. Let's begin with a puzzle. You would have seen puzzles of this nature maybe on social media or maybe somewhere on internet. So these puzzles are nothing but systems of linear equations. So in this case we have three equations and we are asked about this combination. So these three equations form a system of three linear equations, and their solution will lead us to solution of this or answer to this puzzle. Now the purpose of this course is not to study how to solve this puzzle, because solving this puzzle is not a big deal. The purpose of this course is to study nature of this solution and how these numbers affect the solution. This is basically a purpose of this course. Now let's take another example. Suppose you are given that 6 bananas and 2 mangoes cost 100 rupees and 12 bananas and 4 mangoes cost 250 rupees, and if you are asked to find a solution. Finding solution means what? Finding out how much one banana and one mango cost. Now if you look at the system, if you look at these two equations carefully, there is no way we can solve these equations, because if 6 bananas and 2 mangoes cost 100 rupees, then 12 bananas and 4 mangoes should cost 200 rupees, and what is given is 250 rupees. It means that the equations, they don't agree with each other or they are not consistent. So this is what is meant by inconsistency of the system. We'll see in detail what is inconsistency of system and how it affects the solution. Now the puzzle that we saw earlier can be alternatively represented by this equation involving matrix. So this matrix, famously called a quotient matrix, and then we are grouping the unknowns together into a column matrix or a vector, and we are grouping the right hand side constants into another vector or column vector. So this is one representation. There is one more representation wherein we are grouping the columns of the previous matrix, or we are considering the columns separately and we are multiplying these columns by the unknowns, and we are taking the constants on the right hand side. So these two representations, they are not different, they are related in fact. Coming to system of linear equations, so basically this analysis of m equations into n unknowns, it is a core of linear algebra. So linear algebra tries to solve these kind of problems, and more than solving, it tries to analyze these kind of problems. Again, remember that we are more interested in nature of solution than actual solution. So for finding solution, we have number of software tools. We can easily find solution to system of any number of linear equations in any number of variables. But what is important, or what a machine cannot do for us, is to analyze the nature of solution. Now linear equations are basically equations in which every term occurs with degree at most 1. So every term in the linear equation has degree at most 1. Geometrically, they represent straight line in 2 dimension, or if it is in 3 dimension, they represent a plane, or if the system of linear equation, or if the equation is in n dimension, it represents a hyperplane, which is extension of a concept of plane in n dimension. Let's begin with very simple case, a case of two variables, and then we'll extend it to then we'll generalize it. Now in two variables we have an equation in x and y which represents a line. So basically it is the universe is a plane, and any equation, any linear equation in two variables represents a line. So this is a common form known as slope and intercept form, wherein m is the slope of line and c is y-intercept of the line. Another form or another way this equation or this line can be represented is this, wherein we can represent it as ax plus by is equal to c. Now coming to system of two equations in two variables. So this system is generally square system. Square means it has same number of equations and same number of variables. So we can write this system in this way. We have two equations. One equation is y is m1x plus c1, and second equation is y is m2x plus c2, and the solution of this system can be found very easily. Now what is a solution? Solution is a point of intersection or points of intersection of these two lines if that point or that points exist. Now before proceeding further, I want you to stop at this point and try to solve these three systems of linear equation, and then we'll discuss what is the nature of the solution. So I hope that you try to solve the equations. Now let's discuss what are the possible natures of solutions that may exist. So solution have three possibilities. Either given lines intersect in a point, in that case we say that solution is unique. The second possibility is that the lines are parallel and there is no solution, no intersection. And the third possibility is that lines are overlapping, meaning that there are infinitely many solutions, or every point on the line is a solution. Now this is a case of unique solution in two dimension. So there are two lines, one is y is equal to x, second is y is equal to minus x plus 2, and obviously the two lines have different slopes and they intersect in a point, and there is a unique solution. Now coming to the next case excuse me, coming to the next case where the lines are parallel. One line is y is equal to x, second line is y is equal to x plus 1. In this case lines are parallel and there is no way they can intersect, so there is no question of solution, or solution does not exist. Now in this case we have two equations but which are same. It means that lines are overlapping and they are intersecting at every point. It means there are infinite solutions. Now coming to 3D solutions in 3D. So I want you to stop at this point, pause the video and carefully observe all these cases. So there is only one case wherein we can have solution. There are four cases where we can have no solution, and there are three different cases where we can have infinitely many solutions. So it is advised that you pause this video and observe these natures of solution. Now coming to rectangular system, solution of rectangular system of linear equations, particularly involving 2 and 3 dimensions or 2 or 3 variables. So first let's consider two equations in 3 unknowns. So we are given two equations and we have 3 unknowns. Obviously this is undetermined system. There is no way we can find the solution of the system. This is undetermined. To solve for 3 unknowns we need 3 equations. Remember that. Then there is a system of 3 equations in 2 unknowns. This is overdetermined system because we have only 2 unknowns and we have 3 equations. So obviously there is a chance that solution may exist, or in some cases the third equation may make the solution non-existent. So it does not guarantee that the solution exists, but this is overdetermined system. We don't need 3 equations to solve for 2 unknowns. Now coming to rectangular system of m equations and n unknowns. So m is the number of equations and n is the number of unknowns. So n unknowns means we are obviously in n dimensional space. Now every equation here represents a hyperplane in n dimensional space. Now this system can be represented alternatively with a matrix form. This is very famous or very celebrated equation wherein we can represent or we can combine all the coefficients into a matrix called coefficient matrix A. We can combine all the unknowns into a column vector known as unknown vector x, and we can combine all the constants on the right hand side into another vector of called vector b. Now see here, or consider the dimensionality of these vectors. So x is n dimensional vector while b is m dimensional vector, and this is very important that you remember this or you understand this. B and x don't have same dimensions. X is a vector that has n dimensions which is equal to unknowns. B is a vector that has m dimensions which is equal to number of equations. Similarly, the alternate representation is this, wherein each column of matrix is represented by a column vector and it is scaled or it is multiplied by an unknown, corresponding unknown. So every column vector is multiplied by each unknown, and this is the vector form of the equation wherein the bold letters represent vectors. Now coming to the basics of vectors. So you would have studied vectors right in your high school. So the physics says that vector is any object with magnitude and direction. This definition as far as physics is concerned is right, but in mathematics we define vectors in little different way, although they both mean the same thing. In mathematics we algebraically define a vector as ordered tuple of n elements. Now remember that here order of the elements is important. So most of the time the elements are real numbers, and as I was saying, the order is important. So 1, 2, this tuple is not same as this tuple. So these are basically two different things. Geometrically, a vector can be represented as a point in n dimensional space, and if we consider 2 dimension, we can represent a vector as a point in 2 dimensional space. This is one possible representation of a vector. So if a vector represents this point, we draw a line from origin, which is 0, 0 to that point, and we use an arrowhead to represent that point, and the length of the line represents the magnitude of vector, and this arrow represents the direction of vector. This is uncommon representation of vector. So every point in 2 dimension is a vector, and this is very important to appreciate it. It is very important to understand this. Now let's spend some time on notations. So these are the possible notations that you may encounter in different books. So all of them represent vector. This is how a vector can be denoted or vector can be written. If it has n components, so we can represent it as a n dimensional column vector, or we can represent it as a transpose of n dimensional row vector. So basically these, they mean same. So transpose of this is this. Sometimes you may find this notation. So this is also a notation used for vectors. This notation mostly is used in programming. Also a vector containing all zeros, all elements as 0, it is also a vector and it is called zero vector. Now coming to some operations on vectors. So very first operation that we are interested in is scalar multiplication. Now remember, we are going to see only 2 operations on vectors in this particular module. So scalar is mathematically, a scalar is defined as an element of a special set which is called field, and the field is denoted by f. Now don't be scared of this mathematical definition. In short, scalar is nothing but a real number or complex number. That's all you need to understand at this point. Now scalar multiplication of a vector means multiplying a vector by a scalar. So if we multiply a scalar a, which is an element of R, or this means a is a real number. If we multiply a to a vector v1, we'll get a new vector whose every component will be multiplied by a. Now for example, if we have v1 which has components 5, 8 and 4, and if we have a which is scalar equal to 10, then 10 times v1 is nothing but 10 times 5 which is 50, 10 times 8 which is 80, and 10 times 4 which is 40. So this is how scalar multiplication works. There is nothing difficult in this, there is nothing to not understand in this. But the important part comes next, which is geometrical meaning of scalar multiplication. Now multiplication by a scalar which is less than 0 to a vector results in a vector that has direction opposite to the original vector. This is one point. Second point is, if we multiply a vector by a scalar which is in this range, which lies in 0 and 1, it results in a vector that has shorter length than previous one and same direction. If we multiply a vector by a scalar which is greater than 1, it results in a vector, it has greater length or greater amplitude and same direction obviously. In a way, a scalar transforms a point from one position to another position, but it does not change the orientation with respect to origin. This is very important to understand. And now let's see its geometry. Now consider this vector. Now here onwards I will represent vectors by points, so don't be scared or don't be afraid by this notation or by this representation. Now this point is actually, see, this is origin, this is where origin lies. So this is how we can represent this point with blue dot. So this is a vector. Now if we multiply this vector by a scalar a is equal to 3, we'll get this vector. Now if we multiply the same vector represented by blue point by a scalar which is a is equal to 0.7, we get a vector whose magnitude is less than the magnitude of the vector represented by blue point. Now if we multiply the same vector by a is equal to -1, then what we get is exactly opposite vectors. So this is a vector representing original vector, and this is the vector we get after multiplication. So this is how these are the 3 possible cases in general. These are 3 possible cases. Now if we see what happens if we vary a, or if we change a from over a large range. So this is what we get if we use variable a. Then what we get is a set of points passing through our vector and origin. So this is nothing but a line, and this is what we get as a when we multiply this vector by a set of different points, and this is very important to understand this right now. So this is called span of this vector. Now if we represent this blue dot by vector x, then ax is a span of this vector. Span means the set of possible vectors that we can get from multiplying x by any scalar. Now coming to vector addition. Vector addition, we need two vectors. It maps two vectors into third vector. So we have v1 and we have v and u. Now addition of these two vectors is nothing but addition of their corresponding components. For example, if we have u which is 1, 2, 4 and if we have v which is 0, 5, 2, then their addition obviously is addition of their corresponding components. So 1 plus 0 is 1 obviously. So this u plus v is 1, 7, 6. Now coming to the geometry of vector addition. Again, let's consider we have 2 points. Let's say this is point x and this is point y, or this is vector x and vector y. They can be, or their alternate representation can be like this. Excuse me. So this is how point x is represented, this is how point y, and their addition is this. So this is the sum of those vectors. Similarly, if we consider another case, this is x, this is y, and this is their addition. Now coming to where we are scaling x. So this line in green color, it represents the scaled version of x. So these are the points that we can get by scaling x, or we can get by multiplying x by a scalar. And if we add this ax into y, this is set of possible points that we can get. So by simply adding a scaled version of a vector to another vector, we get another line. Now coming to scaling both x and y. Now if we scale both x and y, so this is where x and y are represented, this is x and this is y. If we scale both, now here what I am doing is I am scaling them by a positive number, both of them. If we scale both of them by a positive number, this is a set of possible points that we get. So the set represented by this red boundary or this red color, this is a set of possible points that we can get. If we scale x by positive and negative numbers, and if we scale y by only positive numbers, this is the possible set of points we get. And if x varies from minus infinity to plus infinity, this set of point covers half of the plane on the right side of this line, green line. And if we scale both x and y by positive as well as negative numbers, if we allow a and b to vary from minus infinity to plus infinity, then this set of point covers the whole plane xy plane. Now at this point it is very important to understand that we can represent any point as a scaled version, or we can represent any point in the two-dimensional plane as a scaled version of x and y. This is very important to understand at this point. Now coming to some basic definitions of linear combination, linear independence and span. You can read this as a teaser. We are not going into details, but just I will explain what is needed to understand what I am going to discuss in the next slide. So first let's see what is linear combination. So linear combination is basically multiplying number of vectors by a scalar and adding those vectors. So it is formed by addition of two or more scaled vectors. So this is a linear combination of x and y. Now linearly independent vectors, they are not related by scalar multiplication. It means if we have vectors x and vector y, then we cannot represent vector y as scalar multiplication of vector x. In that case we say that x and y are linearly independent, and linear independence plays really very important role. Span of vectors or span of set of vectors is a set of linear combination of this nature. Now span of x and y can be defined as set of linear combinations alpha x plus beta y for alpha and beta ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity, and this is called span of x and y. And in this case, if x and y are linearly independent, then span is the whole 2D plane, and this is very important if you understand it. Now in other words, if x and y are linearly independent, then any system of two equations with x and y as the columns of the coefficient matrix, it has a unique solution. Unique solution means what? We can represent any point in the plane by using x and y with proper choice of alpha and beta. Now coming back to the puzzle where we started this particular module. Now herein, if we replace these unknown shapes by alpha, beta and gamma, we can get this system of or this equation, and we can represent these vectors by say v1, v2 and v3, and then we can comment on the nature of solution. Now we can represent every column by, this is first column, this is second column, this is third column, and this is constant vector of the previous system. Now this puzzle, we can write this puzzle as this vector equation. Now linear independence of v1, v2 and v3, it plays a major role in the nature of solution, and if b lies in the span of this v1, v2 and v3, then we say that there exists a solution, and if b does not lie in this span, then we say that there is no solution. So that's all about basics of vectors and system of linear equations, and we will see you in the next module. Thank you for watching.